Welcome to the Heart Rate Variability Podcast, where we explore the exciting science behind heart rate variability. The material discussed in this podcast should not be taken as medical advice. Please check with your medical provider to make sure any suggestions or strategies are right for you. Visit us at the OptimalHRV.com website to learn more about the Optimal HRV app, download a free copy of Matt's book, Heart Rate Variability, and also get show notes and additional resources around heart rate variability and its applications. Dave Hopper, and I just call him Dr. Dave at this point because I consider him not only a brilliant thinker, a great member of the team, but a friend as well. And so I've been kind of Dr. Dave, I've kind of been hiding you and some other really exciting news. And I'm usually good at delaying gratification. Like I always save the thing that I like the best for last when I'm eating. I'm good at that. Two graduate degrees, obviously good at delaying gratification. But boy, was it hard not to share you with the world. So I'm excited to introduce you to our guest. So let's just start out. Give us sort of the 5-minute, who is Dr. Dave?
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. This is extremely exciting, and I'm thrilled to be part of this team and a guest here as well. So yeah, who is Dr. Dave? Well, I started off. I grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago, and I am blessed to be from a family that only really cared about health, and it was a cool way to grow up. I didn't realize how quote unquote weird I was until probably high school when I had started talking to friends and friends' parents and stuff, and I was like, "You mean you guys don't all get up and work out at 5 a.m. every day?" And I found out that we were the weird ones. So it was us that were the outliers.
Awesome.
My mom happens to be a marathoner, a chronic marathoner. I think she's got a problem actually. She's done I believe over 70 at this point, one in every single state.
Wow.
She's working on more and more. So she's crazy. And my dad is just a dedicated gym rat. So always had a gym in our basement. Very cool way to grow up again. So with that, when I was in high school, I was, a lot of my friends' parents would actually ask me for health advice, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what kind of exercises should we do for this? Or what kind of exercise should I do for that? Which kind of sprung me into personal training. And I did a lot within the fitness industry and a lot within personal training. I actually even invented and patented and brought to market a fitness device as well. So that was quite a thing. And that was all before I was 20. So it was very exciting. And then actually I had not planned to go to college. I was like, well, hey, this is all going well. Why ruin a good thing? And I graduated high school early, and my mom said, why don't you just take a couple classes at the community college, and see, maybe it will change your mind. And I said, well, all right, why not? So I took a general biology class and I took anatomy and physiology because those are two things that I really find interesting. It shows what kind of a person I am, I suppose. And I happened to be really good at that. And my professors actually asked me to help tutor other students. So I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. So then I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll pursue this at a greater level. And I went on to pursue my bachelor's in pre-med. And I had a great time with that in Northern Illinois. And I actually ended up switching over to kinesiology exercise science as a degree that I graduated with, because at the same time, I happened to be an athlete accelerating. So I made it to the levels. I got to fight professionally for almost 5 years of my life, which was really fun. But it was hard to keep up that schedule along with the load of doing the pre-med work. So anyway, I switched over, and then I had a little bit of time where I literally just ran a company that that produced a fitness product along with fighting, and it was really fun. And then after that was over, I kind of saw the writing on the wall that, okay, we've had some really big shots here, and it is time to look at, going forward with my plan, which was then to become a doctor and help people at the greatest level that I saw possible. So I had learned at one point what a chiropractic was versus what a typical medical doctor does, and it just made a lot more sense with my lifestyle. Who I was, how I was brought up, everything, all about, this is, if you treat your body nice, you eat well, you exercise, you do good things for your body, it is going to treat you nice in return. And I saw that that's how I always worked. That's how my life always worked. So I thought, okay, wow, there's these doctors who believe in this. So that is what I chose to go into, and I couldn't be happier because the more and more that I learned about chiropractic, the more and more I learned that chiropractic is about that whole health perspective. It's about everything. As you know, it's not only about, exercise and nutrition, but it's about living a complete healthy lifestyle. And the biggest thing about chiropractic that I found to be so amazing is that working on the nervous system and working on the autonomic nervous system specifically. And now that is just an overflowing passion of mine. And I try to do everything I can to learn as much as possible about how that system functions and how everything that we do day to day affects that system. So that is where I am at today. And fortunately, I found you guys who really care about the same thing. The autonomic nervous system is what it really comes down to here.
Yeah. So I'm interested to ask you because, from a mental health perspective, when my training, when I was being trained to be a therapist, we talked very little, and it was the late 90s. So the decade of the brain, but really we were learning a lot. It was a lot of the laboratories hadn't anyway integrated itself into psychological education. So a lot of times when I think about chiropractic care, and I will just throw out, I know this is probably a terrible layman's perspective. And I've engaged in chiropractic care. It's really helped me in the past. But one of the things I usually think about it as is my neck hurts, my spine. In other words, adjust me, right? I like my chiropractor. I don't know if he had an anger control problem or not. Great guy, but he had to feel better after doing what he did to me. I saw MMA in this. A lot of seemingly similarities from the layman's perspective of both. So, I kind of see the nervous system as, and the skeletal system, obviously everything's connected, but how does the autonomic nervous system kind of play into your understanding of and probably my misunderstanding of chiropractic care, where you're trying to get the spine aligned and the neck aligned and all that. And again, forgive me for my ignorance on the topic.
No, I absolutely. And Matt, exactly what you said is what most people think when they think of chiropractic. They think of neck pain. They think of, lightning bolts shooting out of your neck, shooting out of your back, pain, fix me now kind of thing. Yeah. And the problem is, the problem and the good thing is that we're pretty darn good at that. We fix pain pretty quick. Yeah. Actually, what I always say to patients is the pain is the easy part. We get rid of that stuff very quick. It's the digestive issues. It's the headaches. Yeah. It's the sinus congestion. That kind of stuff is that takes a little bit more work. And when we look at chiropractors are obsessed with really good posture, not really at all. I wouldn't care about your posture if it wasn't that your spinal column, how's your spinal cord? Yeah. Because if you have, forward neck posture, you're sitting on your computer all day, doing that kind of stuff. Well, you have a big kink right here. You know, this is your brain, and this is your spinal cord is the downward extension of your brain. So if you want proper communication between brain and body, then this thing has to be doing its job, right? It has to be aligned properly. So, you know, anyway, when we get to things like pain, the reason why chiropractic works is a lot of times there is some kind of muscular dysfunction. You know, say there's some kind of spasm happening at whatever level. Now, when we go in there and we adjust the spinal column at that level, what it does is we say it hits the reset button, and that's essentially what does happen. So we give a break from that communication between brain and body saying, ouch, 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 this hurts, to all of a sudden we have this huge force, and your brain forgets about that for a minute, because we get all of this proprioceptive input. So proprioception, just where your body's at in space. We get all of this input rushing back to our brain, and it kind of overrides that pain message. And a lot of times that does equal immediate relief, which I say is unfortunate, but what we get with that is we get that reset. So now your brain and body can start to talk to each other properly again. So that muscle that was in spasm has a chance to go, oh my gosh, there's no need to be so tight and so tense anymore. I can actually relax again. And sometimes, of course, that returns, and it might take a little bit of time to make that stick, but that's where we are very effective with the pain. Now, it's no different when it comes to internal organ problems as well. Things like digestive issues, headaches, that kind of stuff. Very similar method. What we're doing, we're affecting the nervous system. When we do an adjustment, we are affecting the nervous system, and that is going to have a great outcome on whatever is supplied at that level. So, are you familiar with a Merrick chart, Ben? It's Matt. The Merrick chart is that chart that shows your brain, your spinal cord, and all the nerves coming off.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So if you look at one of those, it's amazing when we do our neurological scanning, how you can match up what a patient is feeling and their symptoms match almost perfectly to what we will see on their neurological scans. And then that tells us as well where we want to go in and work on. So it's really cool.
Wow. Yeah. So, with my journey, and the autonomic nervous system, because, psychology work a lot with consciousness, right? That we can't really define it. We work a lot with it. And, so I love our conversations because, and psychology has evolved beyond this. But when I was trained, it was kind of the talking cure, as Freud said, is I wanted to help that autonomic nervous system as I learned more and more about the neurobiology of the human body through releasing traumatic energy and processing traumatic memories. And then, what I'm fascinated with is that you're also helping that same system function better in just an incredibly different way. But we're really working in a lot of ways, maybe not exactly on the same symptoms. That there might be, but there's so much. If a Venn diagram happens, I'm just like, hearing you talk and getting to know you, it's like, boy, if we would have worked together, like how many of my folks struggling with trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, they were dealing with a range of medical, physical issues as well. And yeah, the alleviation of the traumatic symptoms would address some of that, but also I think holding tightness, in the body a lot too. I wasn't trained and ethically could not and should not, because I had no idea what I'm doing, like physically manipulate or touch or anything like that. So it's when you think about this, and then I want to get us into the HRV, which is like the bridge, I think, between our two worlds, is how do you think, from a psychological health, as you help people, like you said, get that alignment, help that nervous system functioning. I just kind of love to hear what you think about how your work impacts mental health from that perspective.
So as far as mental health goes, and as well, I'd love to mention about, OT, PT, speech, all of that too, which I do work.
Yes. Yeah.
So really with any of them, when we do our adjustments, when we do our spinal manipulations, we are putting so much input to the brain that it causes almost a shutdown of of the sympathetics. I mean, I know we've talked about this, Matt, with your HRV. If you look at somebody's HRV before and after, it literally almost doubles, which is just crazy. And that's very consistent. And a lot of that is because we are just slamming on your brake pedal, is what we say. So just bringing your your parasympathetic nervous system just way up. And that opens the door to all sorts of possibilities. If you're talking about, ventral vagal, all that kind of stuff, we are opening that up for you. And then you have this opportunity there where now your body is so much more receptive to any kind of therapy that you're going to be doing. So if it is mental type therapy, you are going to be a lot more receptive to that. And then to talk about, OT, PT, speech therapy. So I'm fortunate enough that I have an amazing wife who started my recess therapy. And I get to jump on and, act like I do something here too. Anyway, I get to work with a bunch of occupational therapists, a bunch of speech therapists, as well as physical therapy. And what we see is how much that therapy just takes off when we can have somebody do their chiropractic appointment right before their treatment, or even just within a few days. The therapists all say the same thing. Like, we just can't believe how much the therapy excels, how we can do things with a child that typically we couldn't. And now we can excel them through the therapy that much faster. So,
awesome.
So it's really, really cool to see that. And yeah, I think it's something that could be well matched with any kind of therapy. But again, we just have to introduce each other. All of us are working the same thing. So
yes, absolutely. So then the big question of, one of the things that, just to preference this, that I was really excited when we connected is chiropractors seem to me, in my reading and discovery, is I'm an idiot's journey through knowledge. I like to say, usually I bounce just off, whatever's available from the library audiobook app or whatever pops up in, my Audible, must read sort of things. But I've always been impressed with it, and you sort of mentioned this in the intro as well, is the approach to holistic health, that chiropractors do. And, we've shared some resources that really, good examples of, I'm nerding out about, like polyvagal theory, ventral vagal, all that stuff, is how we see our psychology manifesting in our neurobiology and biology is fascinating. So I love how you all think about the whole, whereas so many other specialties, it's mind, it's body, or whatever else you're working on. So what with this great sort of kind of background and approach that you all have, where did heart rate variability come in on your radar, and what was it like? What was your sort of learning experience and curve with the exciting science around it?
So actually kind of twofold. One, when I was younger, and I had my personal training business. I have a guy who became a mentor, was one of my clients, and he came in one day. And he's actually a rather big name in the dental industry. And he said, "Hey, Hopper, have you ever heard of this heart rate variability thing?" And I go, and I did exactly what every single person I'm sure that you talk to, Matt, does, which is I said, "Oh yeah, I do heart rate training. I make sure that everybody gets in their different heart rate zones." And he goes, No, heart rate variability. And I said, "No, I don't know what that is." So he goes, "I think you should look into that. I think there's something there." And that was the first time I had ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And I did, I did dig into it a little bit. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And okay, a few years go by, and anyway, my mentor within chiropractic, he uses this equipment at his office that is an EMG. So it's an EMG, a thermal scanner, and as well a heart rate variability scanner. Mm-hmm. And we would always look at that with patients, and I would always be taught, okay, now this is the most important one, because this tells us how much power is in their autonomic nervous system, how much gas they have left in their tank. So we can predict how well this person is going to respond to therapy just based on where they wind up on here. And then you would also say, and then this is how much gas pedal they're using. This is how much brake pedal they're using. And we want them to have a nice balance in the middle, and all this and that. And I was going, okay. So when I went into practice on my own, I got the exact same equipment, because that's what you do. Yeah. And it was really cool. We would always see that correlation. But anyway, as the years went by, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this heart rate, and I couldn't tell you what it was, but one day it just hit me. I was like, this is something everybody needs to be doing, like all the time, like not just here and there, but this is such a great predictor that we need to all be doing this every single day. And it's going to tell us everything about our health. Yeah. And I kind of became a freak about HRV since that day. You can ask my wife. We have just about every single kind of HRV monitor and every single app I've tried, and and all the different techniques I've tried to bring my HRV up, and why I won't drink anymore, because I can't stand how much it tanks my HRV.
It's harsh, right? There's good things about it, and there's bad things about it.
It's really unfortunate. She's like, really? Like, you won't have more than one drink? Like, no, because I know. My HRV is going to be tomorrow. But yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of I don't know if I answered your question directly there or not, but
yeah. So I wonder then, as and that's what I love about our connection, is because I was really the same way, and it's documented on my, we shared that in this stream as well with Kurt Moyer, Dr. Jerry Yeager. I was doing the Trauma Informed Lens podcast, and Kurt brought it on. And, I'm not smart enough to get it the first time, but not really smart enough to get it the second time. But by all of a sudden, it's like, there was the science, and I kind of asked, I was like, everybody needs to be, this measures we're talking about trauma, we're talking about stress, we're talking about burnout, we're talking about organizational wellness. This measures it all. Why isn't everybody on this? And that was like, I have a similar drawer. We'll have to compare at some point. Right. The different devices that are, I hide from my wife, and there's like a European vacation in my drawer. Yeah. So what did you do when you looked at that excitement? And obviously we partnered, because I'm really excited, and I think we share this as well, to bring it into a profession, chiropractic, that looks at the mind, body, that holistic perspective, and have been such teachers to me through books and podcasts over the years. So how have you put these, your drawer of HRV readers and your expensive machines that you've bought with your practice, how have you integrated this up to this point? I know we got some big plans moving forward, but let's look at what have you been able to do with it, with some of the barriers that do exist with the current technology?
So as I was kind of describing how my one mentor used it, that's how I used it throughout practice. When it comes to care planning for a patient, taking a look at their HRV in the beginning of care and seeing where they're walking in the door at, it gives me such a great idea of how they are going to progress through care. And we monitor their HRV throughout care. And what that does is it tells us, okay, are we putting enough in as far as are we seeing them often enough? Are we affecting their nervous system enough to make a change? Are we actually being effective with our care, or are we doing too much that we're actually dragging it down? And then it also brings up great opportunity for conversation with the patient of other things like, okay, hey, I know we're doing the right things here. I can see that because your other windows into your neurological system, your EMG, your thermal, they're showing that we are doing the right thing, but your HRV is not moving or it's going down. So what else is going on in life? And that's a great opportunity to take that, to take that conversation with a patient and say, okay, what do we have happening with sleep? What's your nutrition like? What kind of movement are you getting in through the day? How stressed are you at your job? Why are you working that job?
Yeah.
So we get to have some really great conversations and really touch base with our patients in a better way and start to affect, like you said, that more holistic, that affecting their entire life because of this. Now it brings us from just being, the quote unquote back doctors, to being doctors who are helping them guide through their entire life. And now we have a tool that we can literally see the progress that we're making, because we know, okay, this month you were doing really good, and now this month you're not doing so hot. So what changed? What changed? And sometimes, yes, it is our therapy. It is what we're doing. So sometimes we have to change that. But more often than not, it's the outside factors, right? I see a patient, it's very quick. But the rest of their life is where the majority of the things come into play. So it's great that it opens up the door to that conversation. And yes, Matt, I am extremely thrilled to start integrating what we've been talking about. So I guess we'll do the dun dun dun.
I know. We're still delaying gratification right now, but I do want to kind of, because what I love about what you say, and I could almost say the exact same thing from that mental health perspective of what is the right dose, what is the right intervention, what else is going on, and where I would love to pick up this conversation in our next podcast with you is, for me, and I just love to get your thoughts of it, is it opened up the door to a whole different realm of intervention. And maybe intervention is not even the right word, but I never, and not being trained, I've had to self-train on this, which I'm very hesitant to, put myself out as the expert because I don't have any letters that say I have this, but I didn't talk about diet, sleep, and exercise, like in mental health. And, I look back at that as like, if you weren't sleeping, if you were eating inflammatory foods and you were sedentary, what am I going to do for you? Like I could do something. There is an area that I could do. Would I see any improvement in heart rate variability? Would I say you see that maybe helping to process trauma, kind of generalize into other aspects of your wellness? And hey, if I can help you process your traumatic memories, you're getting your money's worth. But boy, and now go back into the world, like you kind of said, kind of a train wreck still, because I forgot to discuss the cores of mental health with this. So I would love to pick up. I'd love to just continue this conversation for another 2 hours, but with you on our next talk about maybe some of the kind of small things that you see and that you sort of recommend, and whether we call these biohacks or wellness. I know we've talked about some of them on the podcast, but I just want to hear sort of your ideas about the importance of sleep, exercise, and then I know we both take very interesting types of showers and things like that we've talked about as well. Separately, we don't take the shower together; they're separate. But so to look at some of those things. So I'm excited really to continue this conversation. So I want to put a little bit of a bio and some links to your practice. The My Recess stuff is a model that I'm just really excited that's out there, combining interventions that I have loved, especially in my work in special education, that I've just seen life changing for folks. But just as how would people find you if they're just listening in their car? How would they find Dr. Dave out there in the world?
So that's actually a great question. I do have a Facebook account, but I can't say that I've really ever posted much of anything on there. And that would be about my only social media source. So my recess therapy, my recess.com is not my recess therapy. My recess.com is the best place to see me at, as far as to get a bio. And then I am on there, and that's one of the best ways to find me. Otherwise, yeah, I do keep myself kind of invisible, and that's by design. We like to have a life of I guess we stay a little private.
Yes.
Yeah.
It probably helped your HRV as well. So, and we know probably by the time this airs, I know we're recording this a little bit ahead. Also at Optimal HRV, we'll have information about Dr. Dave as well. So we'll put a little bit about Dr. Dave, how to get in contact with him, and have you on, my friend, very soon for another episode. We can nerd out about some biohacks and talk about some of our favorites as well.
Yes, and Matt, if I could add in before we end here,
Please do.
A quote that a lady that I follow within chiropractic. She is awesome. A lady that I follow. She said this quote to me, and I couldn't help but think of it when you were just saying what you were saying about the holistic view. And that is, she said, you can't take a fish that's dying out of a dirty pond, resuscitate him, and then toss him back into the same dirty pond. He's just going to keep on dying every time you toss him back. And that's exactly what what we were talking about there. So I can't wait to talk about those things that you can do to clean up that dirty pond. Awesome. Because that's where we need to go. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that. Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely. And you can find show notes, more information at optimalhrv.com. We'll see everybody for a future episode. Thank you, Dr. Dave.
Thank you.